We came to office, we came to power after 12 years in opposition. Why in the 12-year period, when we have all this international support, why didn't we fix this system for which now we have to fix it in order to peg our budget support with the bank and everything on that? And the answer was that you are a new Minister of Finance. Many of us are new, country representatives. Let's look forward to the reforms that are needed. But there's no way you can justify American taxpayer, German taxpayer, European taxpayer money when one nurse is making 1,000 or one secretary is making 1,500 and another secretary making 200. There's no order to your pay wage. We demanded this so you have the excellent opportunity, and we took that. And the reason is that we had no option. Revenue performance. When we took over, we inherited not a solid revenue situation. Our revenue was declining. In 2018, revenue was struggling. 2018, 2019, revenue was struggling. So what do we have to do? The president announced his pay cut first. President cut his pay. Then we announced a voluntary pay cut that saved $7 million that we used to do some of the programming.
So let me just bring you back.
Yeah.
It is also a follow-up on the same thing. I'm still in the GSC's report. This GSC report that goes diametrical to all that you're saying.
No, the other aspect. Listen.
I am the one asking.
Yeah, but there was one aspect I need to clarify.
You will, but let me just ask the question. The adverse conclusion says, based on the audit procedures performed and the significance of the matter noted in the basis for the adverse conclusion paragraphs below, the National Civil Servants Payroll Data Set on the Alternative Temporary Automated Payroll Systems, ATAPs, are not in compliance in all material respect with stated laws and regulations for the period January 1, 2018 to December 31, 2021.
That's a fair assessment. Let me tell you what GSC is looking at.
Okay.
If GSC went to Bogon Jide, in a country where teachers have to travel for their pay, that's a complaint the traditional workers and the teachers say. How come these people will tell us we're not on the payroll when we have to travel sometimes to get our payroll? They're traveling distances. So what we told the GSC is that, listen, our technicians said, listen, those numbers are not actual. When you go back and see those people. So you can't go on one spot job in the interior, now find somebody and call them ghosts. There has to be reconciliation. Normally when you do an audit, you have to reconcile with the auditor. The auditor and the auditor have to reconcile. So when you look at those numbers, those are not genuine, real numbers. Say 9,000 goals. No, you have to verify them. When you go back, you will see the guy there the next month, the next week. That's how the system runs. So those are the challenges that we face in the rural area. These are long distances. You go to River G, you go to places, you see teachers are not in classroom. Sometimes the teacher can walk for distances, come to Monrovia to run behind the place. This is why we're decentralizing the pay system. These are all the reforms that we're doing. So the GSC report is not contradicting many of the things we're saying. Some of the findings were temporary. They had to be reconciled. In terms of pay raises, we took people up 15,000. We cannot take all of the civil servants up. That was a claim. I made that point significantly because of revenue difficulties.
And this is why
you would do it on a graduated basis.
With this follow.
So we stand proud on our record, and we're asking the current government. We know they can't change the system we built. They can never change that system.
They criticized the system when he was there. What made you think they can change it?
It's been 9 months. Have they changed it? So let's forget about the criticism. They are now governing. What can they do to the system? What they're doing to the system is probably they're going to make it worse.
Mr. Minister,
and we'll talk about some of that. Yeah.
If I'm correct with your math, 17,000,
15,000
up, 7,000 persons down.
That's correct.
Or at a certain level, that's 22,000 persons we're talking about.
Yeah.
That's less than 22% of the civil servants under your leadership. So I mean, we're talking about less than 22% benefited from your harmonization. The rest did not benefit.
No, you can understand what the reform. There were certain ministries here under the Unity Party government. For some reason, one morning, the Unity Party decided to do a reform. They took the salary of Ministry of Finance, Civil Service Agency, I think Foreign Ministry. 5 agencies of government, they took the salary way up. Then they stopped. So you have a country where there are about 95 to 100 government entities. You start a reform with bloated wage structure for certain ministries, 5 of them. You realize, I can't continue this reform. You stop it. Okay. It's like you go into Maryland County, and you put 5 gallon in the car, 10 gallon inside, I'll reach
But
to
the policy
people.
is supposed to address
and you
that.
reach the Ganta.
That's what the harmonization was addressing.
Hold on. So the elevated salary administrator of finance is not the salary administrator of agriculture. There's a vast difference between the wage structure of Ministry of Agriculture under the United Party government and Ministry of Finance. Harmonization basically tried to bring Ministry of Finance and Ministry of Agriculture within some similar boundary. That's the logic of harmonization. It's not that the Ministry of Agriculture people were bringing them down. No, they were already down. So a secretary making 200 Ministry of Agriculture, what are we doing with them? A secretary making 1,500, we're affecting that secretary.
But the criticism is the policy was supposed to target or benefit everybody across the board. But
I just told you
it did not, because
it is mathematically
you did not have the capacity financially to benefit everybody.
Of course.
Sure. So I mean, the policy was not holistic.
What do you mean it wasn't holistic? No, you don't do it though. You listen. The budget, the revenue portion of the budget is around 290 million for salary. You have to make the salary 400 million to do everybody. Do you have salary of 400 million where the legislature pass a budget where the salary will be 400 million?
But you push yourself into increasing health workers pay, for example, from 700 to 2,000 euros.
That's why I say increases were happening.
And ordinary civil servants could not get increment across the board.
Because it's not possible.
That's where your criticism is coming from, Mr. Minister. That was not too. Hold on. And keeping a particular group of people down.
No. The people who went down are the people who were under the water. The people who were up are the people who were under the water. Immigration people were making $45 US when we took over. You want immigration people to continue making 45 while some of the other civil servants are making 150?
But you just agree that, not over 20% of the civil servants benefited from the policy.
I just told you, we took the people under. We did not affect ordinary people who are making 250. We're trying to bring everybody to that guy who's making 150, 200. The guy who's making $50, making $75.
But you succeed in bringing everybody.
We cannot because we don't have, and nobody can. This government cannot.
So it didn't benefit everybody.
It was not designed to benefit everybody because it was not possible to benefit everybody.
So you just informed us.
So there's something called feasibility. When you're doing economic analysis, you say, what is feasible? What is feasible is that you cannot bring everybody up because you don't have the resource.
And it's just that a group that benefited from the harmonization did not vote, they did not campaign and vote for you.
I disagree with that.
But some of the health workers.
No, listen, I disagree with you. The 15,000 people who got to pay, the immigration people who are receiving $45, who are receiving $150. Besides harmonization, we brought everybody up to minimum wage at around $150.
But those people who you took way up there.
Who took way up? We took nobody way up.
Mr. Minister, from 700 to 2,000, that's way up.
No, I mean, medical doctors coming, let me tell you.
No, it doesn't matter.
A driver making $700 and, a driver making 2,000, 1,500 in this government, and somebody who went to school for 8 years at Dougherty making $700. The president said that was unjust. What are you studying for? What do you go to medical school for? So we took the doctors up to 2,000.
That's why some of your critics believe your harmonization policy, especially the portion, the bracket that targeted health workers should have been directed to the ordinary civil servants.
If you want to criticize my harmonization policy, don't do so in theory. Okay. You are now the government. So take every civil servant to 100% now.
So here is the situation.
That's it. So the criticism of harmonization is not theoretical.
Mr. Minister.
It is current right now. We have a wage structure where people are still significantly underpaid. Let this government bring everybody to a desired level that is...
But you already said they can do it.
Okay, but if they're doing it, who's criticizing who now?
They have to criticize you.
Okay, how are you criticizing me if you're not able to do something? If it's not feasible? You're a student, you study economics, you do something called feasible.
So here is it. Here is the Minister Tweh. The guys are saying you cannot declare that they are unable to, revise the harmonization policy because you bloated the payroll. You added a lot of people that you shouldn't have added.
That's the other propaganda that we
evidence of the fact that they've started reducing the size of the government. They've laid off over 800 people from the Ministry of State. Around 107 from the Ministry of Transport, and every other ministry and agency keep having people being laid off because they think you reduce the salary to have other Liberians employed. You increase the payroll with your partisans, and that was the reason why you could not live up to the salary structure you inherited from President Salif.
This is in 2009. The government payroll. In 2009, do you know the government payroll in 2009 under President Salif?
That was around 32. I think there's 32,000 persons, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
but,
between them.
but I mean the cost to the
Yeah.
government. The government wage in 2009 was 109 million. Do you know the government wage in 19 December 2017 when the president was leaving office?
What was it?
$289 million a year.
Okay.
So from 2009, 100 million or 109 million to 290 million. Now, who carried the wage up? That's CDC.
And where did you leave it?
So when we got in, we look, CDC put around like 3,000 or 4,000 people on the payroll. And I will not tell you we put people on the payroll. But one of the things we did was we found savings for absorbing of our people. I just told you we achieved 7 million in cuts. Ministers were making 7,800. We brought ministers down to 5,800. They're trying to carry ministers back to 7,800. We brought ministers down to 5,800. We did saving. We cut across. So 7 million was found to pay for some of the hires that we did. We partially paid for some of the people that were brought on payroll. So the idea that we put, how many people we put on payroll? You do all the analysis, it's going to be more than 5,000, 6,000. The wage bill was already 290 million. By the time we did harmonization, wage was 297 million. We brought 2,000 health workers who were not on the payroll. You know the cost of 2,000 health workers? That's like $12 million every year. So $12 million, as we said in the campaign, and people did, and maybe some people did, some people didn't. $12 million every year when all the money was coming to this country to do health, to do stuff. They didn't find that 12 million to put the people on the payroll. The health workers, the partners were paying 12 million every year. 12 million every year they were paying the Unity Party government. When we got in, they said the money finished. So we had to find $12 million from the budget to increase the wage bill by 2,200 health workers. So what are you talking about? We blocked the wage bill. We are solving serious problems. No minister, no president has consequentially solved problems in civil service reform affecting health teachers than George Manneh in the CDC. Not this current government. It is clear the evidence is there.
We move on to the issue of procurement violations. Eton, Ipoma, we have a yellow machine situation now, so we have to bring that to you. Part of the earliest critiques of your government, and we used to be on your backs, was Eton and Iboma. A whole lot of people, opposition, media, thought this was a 419 deal that you all were trying to go into. Why were you leading the country down a rabbit hole?
You know, it's a very interesting question because at the time, you know, when you come to office, you want to achieve something quick. Let's face it, the previous 12 years in the Unity Party was pretty slow. I mean, things were done slowly. So when we came, the President Mendel was like, listen, I'm not going to take 4 years to do something that I can do in 3 months. So he's calling for accelerated, aggressive pace in doing roads because technically the binding constraints and the infrastructure challenges were bottlenecks to the economy and ameliorating them was too slow. So the idea of doing the coastal highway came up and we started the process. We identified a funding source. You know, yeah, we're criticized and trying to move too fast. Even our own partners were criticizing us, the IMF, the World Bank were criticizing. The idea behind that was to find money to be able to do road work faster. The challenge would be that maybe the interest rate, so we work hard. We're not going to get it at the World Bank interest rate.
Were they legit?
Oh, yeah, well, we legislated them in a way.
No, I'm asking whether these companies were legitimate companies.
I mean, that was part of the criticism. We follow a process.
No, but were they legitimate?
I believe they were legitimate companies. They were not fraud schemes. Were they able to produce the finance is a different thing. Were they able to produce interest rate comparable to like 2%, 2.5% that were forced? Because our partners will not accept anything. Our partner will not accept definitely 2.5%. But if you find 2.5%, the World Bank will be jealous and they will look at it and they were definitely not able to meet that financing. So we figured out that it was too optimistic. We did the legislation. We met the policy benchmark in a way that was quasi to
Well, you violated the procurement process.
We can say that for practical purposes, we sacrificed some of that for experience.
That was not a sacrifice. It was a violation. I meant to that.
Okay. A violation in the interest of the country to move faster.
I meant for yes.
No question. We admitted that there were violations in the interest of time. Okay. The critics who violated or who said we violated now took office. So Iboma went to legislature. 22 yellow machine, 22 million, yeah? How many yellow?
285.
285 yellow machine comes below the standard of Iboma and Ito. So how do you describe that? So this is from the critics who criticize Iboma and Ito. So is this Iboma Ito Redux or 2.0? So 22, the 285 yellow machine, the procurement process for Iboma and Ito is better than the procurement under the yellow machine. So are we making progress? Do we criticize one government? So the question is, why were they rushing? They were rushing probably for the same reason that we were rushing. You want to impress your voters. You want to show 100 days you are moving process. There are procurement laws. And let's be honest, some of our procurement laws can benefit from reforms.
How do you see this whole yellow machine saga?
Oh, that's what I'm saying. The yellow machine saga is not realistic. I mean, beyond the violation of the law, I don't think that's how you transform agriculture. We'll get into the fundamental structural reasons why agriculture is behind the country. You can't just plot the country with machines and believe that you're going to transform the space. Equipment necessary, but it has to be part of a holistic ecosystem, a value chain, okay, where all the elements of the chain are satisfied. You satisfy one element to the detriment of other, you collapse the entire ecosystem. I don't think that's how you do agriculture. All the agriculture experts will tell you, you don't just take yellow machine and maybe you crowd out the private sector, you do this. You create disincentive in the economy, in agriculture.
And they are mainly about roads, though. So, but we take you to the next point under this. Back to the economy that Kai asked you about, circular flow. First of all, what do you make of the current team headed by former Minister Gaffouin? What do you make of the team at the Ministry of Finance? Do they have it to bring about economic transformation?
Gaffouin, Minister Augustin Tweh Gaffouin is my personal friend. We went to school together at university. We did politics at the University of Campus.
Sometimes people say you have issues.
Listen,
were you
he's
trying to fight him?
He's a soup standard. He's a soup candidate. I'm a student candidate. So we've been political adversaries, but that doesn't mean that we've never been friends. So
no, when you were finance minister, did you try to fight him?
I don't have a recollection of him trying to fight me. I don't have any. No, these are lies. Look, the lies in this country, I mean, it's amazing. Why would I fight Gaffouin to get a job somewhere? Why? I would never fight him. He's qualified, he's competent, he can get a job. Why would he stop me from getting a job? So all that stuff is just people coming between people, to make a point. But there's no point at no point in time I try to undermine his getting a job.
So what do you think about?
Look, I think he's qualified, he's competent. But I think the challenges are enormous, such that the approach he takes has to be extraordinary. And, he has the benefit of time the next year to see where we're going. And I'm sketching some of the challenges we have to face with. Now, they have a development plan that is still being consulted. By this time, we're launching our development plan. The problem in this country, the real fundamental problem, and this is an open advice to the president who's running this country right now. Roads are infrastructure, are binding constraints. We wrote the constraint analysis and we say infrastructure. But let me tell you, we have delivered infrastructure in some places and economic dividends have not followed.
Why?
Buchanan Road, we built about $100 million through partner funding. The road is there. Traffic is like every 15 minutes before a car passes on Buchanan Road. Economists say if the traffic flow is not happening, the road is not paying for itself. Same thing with Banga. So why is it that when we put roads somewhere, we don't see the attending economic benefit? This was going to be the crux of our PAPD 2.0. I discussed that with all of the partners. I said we will abstract from road infrastructure. We say we're doing the roads, but we assume the road is there. What happens to the guys who have the farms, the people who are living on the roads? Why capital is not going there? Why the banking sector in Liberia is only giving 17% to businesses, to the private sector, when in Ivory Coast, in Ghana, in sub-Saharan Africa, the banking sector is giving 43%. So we have that large gap between us and the rest of Africa. That is where the government, that is where Minister Gaffouin will have to focus. The focus is now on the processes of getting paid on time. Even the wage reform we're doing, you're just doing it to set a system so that every Liberian is paid equitably. That's fine. That's trivial. The burden of the minister's work has to be within the private sector. The burden is how do you relax investment constraints? Many people think when you say, the United Party people campaign that CDC calls investors to leave the country, NGOs to leave the country. That's part of the reason why the small minority that made a difference for them. Now they know that that is not true because ArcelorMittal is hiring around 2,000 people. B Mountain, maybe 2,000 people. Okay. If you have 10 ArcelorMittals in this country, 10 mining, it's not possible because we don't have that resource for 10 ArcelorMittals. But let's assume you had 10 ArcelorMittals. You're basically able to hire 20,000 Liberians. You know how many Liberians are entering the job market? You're talking about tens of thousands. Every year, all the university graduates need jobs. All the people who are turning 18, who are on the path to employment need jobs. What you need is to bring the cost of doing business down so that banks are able to lend loan. Somebody opens the shop, they hire 5 Liberians. They hire 25 Liberians. If one marriage shop hires 25 Liberians, and if 10 marriage shop gets credit, how many Liberians there?
So this is about what you will want.
A 1,000 marriage shop at 25,000.
That's what you want Minister Gaffan to do.
So Minister Gaffan will have to focus because let me tell you.
So what
it's not in my interest for this government. Listen, it's not in my interest for this government to fail. Because anytime the government fails, Liberians are hurting. They're looking for. And I told somebody, the challenge in this country will soon leave the political landscape, meaning people voting for people all the time and not getting results, to becoming existential threat. It will start being a political threat to becoming an existential threat, where people feel like, okay, it's not working for us when we vote for people, so we have to take another action.
Okay.
So when we were government, you're asking, what did we do? Okay, look, our economy, we met a fundamentally weak economy, macroeconomy. We had to work to stabilize the macro. You can see the evidence today. I'm not going to talk much about it. We did a lot of work here on our IMF program to restore macroeconomic. Inflation was running way high, and we brought it down within record time. We did a lot. We're buffeted by COVID. Even during that period where we're buffeted by COVID, we set a record that we grew revenue by 3% of GDP. The records are there. Go read the IMF reports. Go read the World Bank. I'm not writing them. So we gave the new government higher revenue threshold to stand on, 3% of GDP. So you're talking around 150 million. So before we came, we're collecting 150 million to 170 million less. We added that. So while we're doing all of this work, the COVID-19, we didn't have the time. We were doing at the same time. We're doing the dual community road. We're pushing on the road. Look at RIA. Imagine if we had not done RIA. What would be the situation in the country today if President we had not done anything RIA had acted like Madam Chele, waiting for the next year to do RIA? You will not have that situation there. So we deliver all of that. But our second term was going to turn to the bread and butter issues, especially why Liberian businesses, why banks are sitting on vault cash and they're only comfortable to import rice. Tradables, meaning things that are not adding value, things we eat every day. We just pay through the LC, the rice come in the country, we eat it, somebody makes a profit. They need to invest in sectors that will provide jobs for the students who are graduating. This is where the Minister of Finance has to focus. This is the conversation you ask all the bankers, you ask everybody. Even the judiciary, the Chief Justice was gracious enough to accept a judicial conference sometime 2022. The idea was that when you talk to the bankers, they say, listen, if you want us to give boatloads of cash to businesses, we need to bring the judiciary in because there are some constraints.
Okay.
When you talk to the judiciary, they say, well, the bank says, so let the family of Liberians sit down. So the Chief Justice convened that meeting. But she just said, this is the first time, Minister, we need to go to the next step.
Yeah, before we advance on this conversation, let us clear something out that we should have cleared out ever since about this case. There's an indictment. There's a case on November 12th. You all going to court. Where you fleeing justice? Why did you come the way you come? You try to explain to us the processes surrounding your going to the court without going into the nitty-gritty of the case. Of course,
as I
said,
I was never fleeing justice. I will never flee from my country. If you take my country from me, if you take my voice from me, I'm better than abroad, temporarily. But at my age now, I'm consequentially vested in this country. I am not going to escape from any government, especially in a democratic, well, if it's an autocratic regime in the 1980s, I would say, but we don't have autocracy. No president can impose autocracy on me. So I'm not going to flee. I trust the system here. I was never out as a fugitive. I was already out, and I needed to prepare myself to come in. Part of the preparation means that I needed to come with a bond to secure. So there's something fundamentally flawed with that, because what we need here is to ensure that we stay within the confines of the law. I'm entitled to bail. Everybody's entitled to bail. So when I come to the country, it means I'm coming to get under the auspices or the jurisdiction of the court. That's what the law says. When you are indicted, you're now moving under the code. You're not under the executive. All right? Under the executive will put you in jail, you do what I want. Under the judiciary, under the court, you have to go through the process. So the judge read my rights and said, I'm entitled to bail.
Okay.
And he approved the bill. So that's what now if they had arrested me they could have arrested me
I heard
at RIA.
$8 million. It said I gave $8 million.
I mean the lawyers, the bond process, I won't talk too much of that, but I got a bond for value $8 million. That's the valuation of the bond. Property was stringed together. And in fact, I was just informed that a judge may grant me without a bond. It is within its right, or it's my constitutional right to also be entitled to, because I think Article 13 or something under the law. Yeah, without a bond, you can get free.
Do you trust the judicial process to handle this matter?
I mean, listen, our judicial has its own fair set of challenges, no question. I told you about a judicial conference where there are a number of challenges we're trying to resolve in the business climate. But I would say I trust the democracy we are in today. We're not living in a dispensation where the will of one president, not even president, the will of one president can override a whole system. I trust the wholesome nature of that transformation. The judiciary is part of it. The executive is part of it. This is why the LACC that we passed says even the president cannot dismiss the LACC commissioners. He has to do so through an up and down vote by the senator. So you have to impeach. So this is why LACC people should not be afraid of the executive. They should not be taking command from the executive. They are empowered to do their work because they cannot be summarily dismissed by a certain president. So that is the extent to which I'm confident in the holistic reform since the end of war.
But yet you accused the government of attempting to arm twist, weaponize the courts.
But there are elements. That's correct.
That doesn't speak to the level of trust that you express.
No. There are elements within that system who believe we still reside in the 1980s. So you have to bring them back and say, listen, to arrest me, you have to arrest me legally. I'm not afraid of arrest. I'm afraid, okay, I don't want to be arrested. Now, if you arrest me legally, that's fine. Maybe I'm afraid of legal arrest. But I'm not afraid of illegal arrest. Like right now, the police can come here and arrest me.
I'm talking about, I think we can go into audits and the fight against corruption.
Mm-hmm.
Because I read a piece from you, I think about 2-3 days ago. You described the audit process or the allegation as bogus and all of that. It says to me that you do not have exclusive confidence in the GAC process. The GAC that you, meaning your government, recruited and hired.
That's a misreading.
Yeah, you do not have... Jackson was recruited under your government. That's a fact.
That's a misreading of what I wrote. I'm not saying Jackson was not recruited under my government.
No, but that's the insinuation in your post. Anybody read it, but that's the insinuation. When you describe allegation as a result of an audit report as bogus, you're indirectly telling the public that the GSC audit report
nothing in what I wrote. My writing is still on my page. Nothing in what I wrote accused the GSC.
No, but there's a word you use. That particular word you use, bogus.
Yes, I said bogus. So what it says?
You were insinuating that the allegations against you are bogus allegations. Those allegations are drawn from the GSC.
No. The GSC recommends. The GSC does not go to prosecute.
Exactly.
So, okay, so
but it doesn't change the fact that the allegation was that were drawn on accounts of an audit report that was conducted by the GSC.
What audit? This case we're in is not GSC audit. So what are you talking about?
Mr. Minister, it's GSC audit.
You see, that's the thing I'm talking about. You are providing information. Okay, it's not what
I'm asking you.
It's not a GSC audit. You have to understand that this is not a GSC audit.
Which audit is it?
It was a special investigation audit set up by the president.
Conducted by whom?
By the president, by the minister, not by the GSC.
Mr. Minister. The entire audit we're talking about is an audit that was conducted by the audit system that you...
Listen, don't miscarry over. I am not attacking the audit institution.
No, I didn't suggest that.
Okay, I respect.
I'm saying...
When the auditor recommends, okay, there's a difference between the commission of a crime coming out of... You have to take the audit, the prosecutor have to look in the audit and see whether a crime was committed. It's not GSC that making that determination. So my eye was not on GSC. My weaponization claim is not at the expense. GSC auditors to do their work.
No, but your post does not have to necessarily mean or state that your description of
there are elements in the executives who will want to witch hunt.
GSC is in the executive.
No, I'm not saying GSC. I just said that to you.
I'm saying there are insinuations from the public that what you
I'm
wrote
here now.
suggests that
No,
you
no.
do not
I'm
trust the
telling the
process.
public you are trying to mislead the
You,
public.
no, you need to provide. He said you did this. On accounts of what the GSC has reported, we have formed an indictment against you. Mr. Tweh, what do you think? I think the indictment is bogus. What does that suggest?
They infer from what the GSC audit. Again, I'm saying, let's not talk about the audits you're talking about should be the audits that GSC conducted. This audit was not part of the
No,
consolidated.
yes, the GSC as
Okay, so the GSC audit
to indicate that
the GSC
an audit was conducted.
That's correct. So the movement from the audit report is not does not lie with the GSC. To move from audits to go to prosecution is not GSC.
That is understandable.
It's LSCC that's doing that prosecution. Okay, LSCC will go and make the determination. LSCC can go and investigate something and figure out, oh, there is not a commission of a crime here. Despite the GSC, we know that LSCC can also make that determination. So why is the burden now on the GSC? Why are you saying that I'm criticizing the GSC?
No. I suggest
No,
that you can
so-
the GSC.
so let's look at
But generally,
So take that back.
I'm
I
not
come
going
to
to take
the
that back.
contrary.
Generally,
Yeah.
a fair appreciation of the entire fight against corruption by this government. For me, I'm interested in that. And your case is just one. There are many other cases around.
Our government was interested. We empower all of the auditing institutions. We provided resources for them. We empower them so that they cannot be dismissed. You ask the GSC, the budget's been going up. LHCC, we provided resources for them. We're not afraid of accountability. We're afraid of using the processes of that to witch hunt. And that is not done by the institutions. That could be done by political authorities.
Is this something that you're sensing in the entire process?
Oh, we're seeing that. We're seeing that through the dismissals that are happening in civil service. We're seeing that through the targeting. So what I'm saying, it's a witch hunt. And we will go through the judicial process to vindicate ourselves
Mr.
out of
Minister,
this process.
Are you saying that this regime is not honest in the fight against corruption?
The fight against corruption has to be holistic.
okay.
It has to be honest. It has to be sincere. When you want to do something, when you want to do change, you can't be doing the same thing that you're trying to imply somebody else did. For example, if you're accusing people of off-budget spending, as I said, is not necessarily a commission of a crime.
But it is easily corruptible.
I just posted off-budget spending under the United Party today before I came to the show of $128 million United States dollars.
That didn't make that necessarily right.
That doesn't make that right. I can't infer also that all that money was stolen. In the same way, 97 million on the CDC, you can't be right say all this money was stolen. So it's just the political optics that we gotta bring our people to.
Which you could have avoided. Since there was a precedent case.
That's fine, yeah. But the exigency and the current government could also avoid. But the exigency of our economy, our political economy, is such that off-budget pressures are there. We need to have a holistic solution to that in the crafting of the budget process. We need to be a little bit more honest and clear in crafting so that we avoid that. That's the point I'm making. But that's a change agenda that has to happen with the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. Everybody sitting around the table. But don't take one aspect of the procurement, the public financial management law, and try to weaponize it. That's what we're saying. This government has done violations against procurement standards. They've done violations against the CBL reserve, giving $8 million. So all these violations have happened. So you're going to say, okay, all right, let's arrest all these people who did that. Then after Councilor Kango said, if you're honest, you start with your own self while you're looking at the CDC. Let's bring fairness and equity to the debate. That's
Okay, now, this is the OK Conversation on OKFM 99.5. We're hosting former Finance Minister Samuel Tweh. Being relayed, they will let you know on which stations are relaying. Banner is, Freedom is. I know other stations, they will let me know. We have a team of interviewers who are also a part of this. In the next 30 to 40 minutes, we'll come to you, the public. There's a whole lot to still cover. Get coming.
Still on this issue of your perception about the government's decision to fight corruption and so forth. People think your administration, the CDC people, you are angry, you are having issue with the way they are proceeding because you did not do that to them. Is it a situation?
No, it's not the situation. Look, see, when we came, we had all these other reports.
Why didn't you prosecute?
Because you need evidence. You need evidence. You need to take your time to go through that process.
There were
No,
reports,
hold on.
for example, the executive mansion renovation. There were over 3 different reports
Yes,
that suggested that people took money, they did not renovate that
And
place.
then, President Weah had to almost sound like former President Shirley and say, We know everybody know everybody.
We're interrelated.
Yeah, driver beat it. You do it.
So people think you refuse to do what you were supposed to do, constitutionally, and you should give these people the chance to do what they want to do.
No, nobody is saying we should not. Let's do so legally.
Okay.
So don't try to put Samuel Tweh in cuffs to make a political point. If you believe Samuel Tweh committed wrong, let's patiently follow the judicial process, put him to trial, convict him, then send him to jail.
Okay.
Don't start doing that and say, oh, there is an appearance of wrong. We'll go to a judge, we'll get something, just put him in jail for 2 days, we'll get his picture. That's what's happening. So what I'm saying, let's be honest with the Liberian people. Okay, that's all we are against. We're not saying we're not prepared to submit ourselves to investigation, all of that. No. But we were not in the position to do that to the former government officials and just railroad them, because we know the dispensation we're under. What we're against is which one?
Which dispensation you were under?
We are under a fair and equitable dispensation.
Under your administration, I'm sorry we're taking you back to this. You had all of the reports available unto you.
Yes.
Were you not concerned about ensuring that justice was done to
the
people's money?
value of bringing the country together and moving the development needle was stronger under our government. The president decided to make that decision. We followed that course. We didn't want the witch hunt allegation immediately coming out of war. Okay, have we gone to start arresting people and start imprisoning people?
You didn't take over the country after war.
No, Onme just left the country. Onme had just left this country. And if George Weah has started doing this, the criticism would be, the man has not even sat in the office yet.
Minister
after under this fragile country, he's going after all his former opponents.
No, Minister Tweh.
I'm telling you, this opposition that criticized all would have said that.
When President Salif took over, the late Judy Bryant was arrested and made to account for some of the things he did when he was the interim, a chairman, several others. You had a chance to have gone to the books of our country. Those who stole our money, you had a chance to bring justice to the Liberian people, and for them, the people think you did not do it, and so you should allow them do it to you because you did not do it to the other people.
No, I'm not saying you can't do it to us. You do it legally.
And that's why they granted you bond.
No. So they wanted to put me in jail while I'm in the process of getting the bond. That's the so I'm not afraid to go to jail.
Okay.
If the judge had said your bond is not qualified, right? I will go to jail. Okay. What they're trying to do, knowing that I'm coming to the judge, they're still trying to say, listen, let's find a way. And so people are saying, why you didn't arrest me at RIA? So what basis are you arresting me at RIA? I'm coming to seek justice. I'm coming to clear my name. It means I'm coming to face justice. Why will you be arresting somebody who's coming to face justice? You should be arresting somebody who's going across the border or who doesn't want to come. But there's no indication that they don't want to come, but the evidence that I've come. I was waiting to perfect my bond process and come to do the case. So we're not against investigation of other report under the current view. They can do all of that. But let's exhaust the legal, transparent process and not use the power of the executive to obtain images and optics that could put the opposition party at disadvantage just because you put one of the leaders in handcuffs and use that as to an electoral advantage. That is what we are against.
Still on investigation, some auditors died here. Different reports came out from the police then. One of them still being looked at is the Baten Nyeswa issue. There have been some allegations linking you to the death of Baten Nyeswa. And in fact, police reopened investigation that was supposed to speak to you. Have they done that now?
Okay, thank you asked that question, Jada, because why I'm being called to the police is still confounding to me. My theory is that they wanted me to go there so they can arrest me. Obviously, if I had shown up for the batting thing, they would have used the opportunity to put me in handcuffs. In 2-3 days, by the time I get my bond, they already have that. So I know that because I should not even be called. The batting story has probably not been told to the public in a way that they will understand what happened. I think because there's too much noise, and I think this is the best time to tell these stories. My brother have done so, but he doesn't have the audience that I have right now. Listen, on the night that the thing happened to Body, I called my brother and said, I'm coming to your house to spend the weekend. I think it was a Friday. And so because of that, he didn't go out with Batin. He stayed with me. So I was there. He was not out with Batin. Normally, he and Batin and Thomas, now all of them, they will be where they are doing their stuff. So he said, oh, my brother's here with me, so I can come with you. Oh, I stay at the house, 2 a.m. I'm sleeping. My security knocked my door, say, your brother said you should get on the phone. I said, well, what happened? He said, he won't talk to you. I took the phone. you have to call the Minister of Health. My brother's on the phone. Tikon then called me that something happened to Batin, so I came here.
Who is Tikon?
Tikon William is the guy who was in the house with Batin Yusua. One girl called Lida, probably his girlfriend who slept there, and Professor Red. There was 3 people. My brother said he goes to the house. They called him. When he gets to the house, Batin is on the ground. The people who are in the house with Batin are sitting. So he's asking them, okay, but Batin said, it looks like he's bleeding. Why are you sitting this? They believe that Batin is always in some fit, so they're not taking it serious. So Norris said, the man is bleeding, and the 3 of you are waiting for me to come from my house. Why you couldn't carry him to the hospital and I join you there? He got angry and put Batin in his car.
Why did they call your brother?
Because that's the question. So he's asking, why are you calling me when you could take the man to the house? Why? So my brother is some figure among them. He's a lawyer. They respect him. So they always do things together. But his anger was that the man was bleeding and they believed that he probably wasn't and they were just sitting. So this is how Norris took the living Batin. Now, he was not dead Batin when Norris took him to JFK. When Norris was taking him to JFK, he called me and said, please call Dr. Brown and Dr. Jala. And you come to the JFK because I'm taking Batin there. That's how we got there. And I met Tikon and I met Ray and asked them what happened. And they were all shaking and explaining what happened.
What did they say?
Oh, they say the debate was the Batin 4, Batin 4. So we started asking, one door was open. And I don't know who opened. So I said, okay, but if we started asking them, so what happened? Who carried the man up? He explained. They have all the stories. The girl who was in the room, everybody. So if you're looking in this case and say if there is a foul play, who are you supposed to be asking questions to? That's Samuel Tweh and Norris Tweh. Norris Tweh was called by Tikon, was called by Lila. And he called me only to call Dr. Jala, to call other friends, Bill Tweh, other people. That's how I call all these people and say, gentlemen, our friend is going to the hospital. Let's go there. And when I went, I saw Batin fighting for his life at JFK. He was not dead. When Dr. Jala went there, he was not dead. So on what basis you calling for Dr. Jala? Maybe they said they want to close the case, so they needed the perspective of Dr. Jala, me, because I commented on this stuff.
Do you accept that these things, when they happened, should have been explained there and then?
They were explained, but the best time now people understand the thing is now.
No, I don't think you took the liberty to explain these things then.
Yeah, I didn't explain the way I'm explaining it. I wrote about it. Norris has been on radio. But like I say, there's too much controversy in the country. The adequate explanation will get buried into the noise. That's what's happening. Today, the issue is over. Elections are over. People are now knowing the truth. That there was a girl, there was Tikon, and my brother went and saw Batin and asked them the question.
Is it the girl that has been writing on Facebook?
That is the same
accusing all of you?
The girl who is accusing us was the girl who's sleeping with the man, and was the girl who was sitting over the man for 30 minutes, waiting for Norris to leave his house, go to Batin's house, ask them why you're not carrying Batin. They said, oh, we just thought Batin was, we thought he was not serious. He said, but the man bleeding. Puts the man in the car, carried the man to JFK, and is still sitting there. So if you're accusing anybody, who are you supposed to be accusing? I'm not accusing anybody. The general theory was that Batin fell. Even the guy told my brother, said Batin fell, Norris. But now everybody wants to turn anything that happened in the country now into politics since we're going to election. Even the guy who died at SKD. Go to SKD. This was a clear accident, broad daylight. People went and said people were chasing that guy. Opposition people said the guy was being chased by court lights. You know what? The former minister of justice took that guy about it. The family went to the minister and said, if the minister, we're not in your politics, your plea, give your body. He said, no, I'll not give you the body until you go on radio and say, they meant nobody came down for accident. The minister refused to get it body. Later on, the negotiator, he get it body. So the country is just political.
Okay, HPX. Yeah. That's one of the key things you spoke about in your news conference. What is this whole HPS saga that you think may have necessitated your sanction and all of that? What do you know about HPS, your current dealings with the government and all of that?
Well, I mean, because I got
the government of Liberia, you Samuel Tweh facilitate eating at least $40 million from it. Your government ate HPS $40 million free, just like that.
That's not
you
true.
didn't give them what they wanted.
Well, HPS committed resources to the government to the tune of $30 million.
Okay, 30 million.
30. I mean, yeah, they gave 7 first, so it'll be close to 40. I mean, I don't
for what?
For a real process. They're trying to get into an agreement with the government to share the real. The current rule says that ArcelorMittal, the current agreement, without the amendment, current agreement says ArcelorMittal should be able to allow other users on that rail.
Other users.
Other users. But ArcelorMittal reserves some right to be the user operator under the current law, which was legislated, the concession. So ArcelorMittal will, and the government will agree to grant a third party user rights, but ArcelorMittal will hold some sway in that process. The debate here is that if ArcelorMittal is already having interest in it and they want to be the user operator, then it's not going to be fair. That's HPX contention. In that whole process of negotiating, my argument is that how do you take the law from ArcelorMittal given to them right now, which gives them the right to be user operator of some sort, take that away from them and write a new law that says they should invite a third party, which is what we're pushing for. But to do that, Mittal and the government have to agree that we don't want to be the user operator because Mittal already has rights that gave them user operator. The government said, Mittal, the time we gave you those rights were different economic circumstances. Now we want to be able to invite other parties. We're looking at a whole value chain in rail. It's not just you operating the mill. So the economic circumstances have changed, Mittal. Okay, so can you work with us to write a new law that will then allow independent third-party user, and that's where the challenge has been. How does Mittal see that right? That it enjoys currently, it has maybe about 7 or 8 more years to that right. For a new law, what language do you carve in? We spent 3 years negotiating language and we're at a deadlock. People, for one reason or another, some people believe that, some people are obstacles. For me, the negotiation that I did, I'm a man of logic. The logic is that you had to go through Mittal either by coercion or by suasion of some sorts to be able to arrive at this deal. The only way Mittal, you will have this third-party agreement is either through you use the military or the army to go and bulldoze Mittal and say, Mittal, leave the country. We are taking our concession from you. You go to court or you appeal to Mittal. One of those things have to be true. We don't want to go to court. We don't want to lock the whole mail process in court. So that one is out. The only other option then is that if we're not going to court, then we have to use moral suasion, but some form. That also is difficult. The bottom line is that one party has a right. They've been here, they invested billions in the country. They're claiming that there should be commensurate investment by the other parties that's coming. So it's a complex negotiation. So in that process, some of us got sacrificed because there was an information I received that if Mittal gets a terror amendment, you will be sanctioned. People told me that people trying to sanction you through Manisky, they may not get it, they will do something. And when the sanction came, when they put money, I knew the guy was
But in this case, Mittal did not get the agreement yet. So
Mittal does not have the agreement yet. And
They're still protected by the old.
They have 7 years of the concession. And Mittal is making some investment to go to the next stage of their phase 2, which will hire more people. So if we don't give Mittal the second amendment, we also don't have HPX. Where are we going?
It seems the current government is doing better at this because HPS seems to want to build their own rail also.
We're waiting to see whether that's happening. That's what we're waiting for. We're waiting to see. Because if HPX is building a new rail, then there is no need for Mittal to share the current rail. You got to understand that. A new rail means it's running parallel to what Mittal has now. Is that the case? That's what we wanted to say. We told many of the investors that come, why don't we do a new rail? The problem with a new rail is that the mine that they're trying to evacuate from the south of the border, right around here, contains only small ore. It's not the main Simandou range. The Guineans do not want their ore to pass through to come this side. They want the ore to go through Corner Creek, which is more expensive. The investment is around 25 to 30 billion US dollars. So investors are worried why. So Guinea has some small ores around Nimba. So it's those ones that HPS want to bring. If you want to put $4 billion to invest, you need to be looking at the ore that Guinea does not want to come through Liberia. And we don't have any indication that HPS has that agreement. So anybody who says there's going to be a $5 billion or we're going to sign $5 billion, you got to take that with a grain of salt.
Did this come before you also? Because we've been hearing it in the corners that Mittal is paying more in terms of royalties to the government per tons compared to what HPX was.
Mittal is a prime investor here. Mittal is paying more money. Mittal is hiring more people. Mittal is doing everything. HPX, the government, if HPX ships ore, the government will get maybe, let's say the government get $2 million for every ton of ore. If the HPS ships 2 million oil, I mean, if HPS, if they cross 2 million oil, the government, 2 million ton of oil, the government get $2 million. If they do 1 billion ton of oil, right, the government get that amount of money, $1 billion. So that's the price. That's what we get from there. It's not that they are investing in the country. Because of evacuation.
So they only pay on shipment.
They pay,
is investing.
Meta is the investor. That's correct. So that's it. So look, we want it. We want Meta, we want HPX, or we want a third party. But we have to achieve it. We talked earlier about feasibility. The economists say you got to look at what is feasible. Meaning, you can't have two bags of rice and you plan for people with 20 bags of rice. It's not feasible. You can't have 2 bags of rice.
But there are cases where you have to sit with other external factors.
We see that the whole case to the United States government.
Okay.
We told the president, Mr. President, this thing and said, because when I went Washington, I heard about this sanction business, I can't wash my hands. I said, Mr. President, people are trying to destroy my family. People are lying on me in Washington. People are telling me that I will be sanctioned. People say, listen, you are a minister of finance, you're doing well. What we're hearing, people think that you favor Meta over HPS, which is not true. There was a time where Meta was against me at one point. Because I'm for the logic. How do you grant a third-party access with or without Meta agreeing? The law said Meta and the government must agree for something to happen. If Meta is not agreeing, it's not possible. We got to shoot Meta out of the country the only way, and we'll do so with violating international law. So I'm looking for a moral suasion, convincing way to say Meta, listen, you lose nothing. In fact, one time I asked to say, listen, why is HPS also HPS? Why does it matter also that Meta opens the gate? You just want to ship your oil across to the extent that we can write the laws that you are protected, and Meta doesn't have any extraordinary right. We did all that. We did all sides of the negotiation. The National Chairman of the National Investment Commission, Minister of Mines, Minister of Justice, we spent endless
Just 1 second. I read a piece where if a scholar was proposing to the government, when they said your government refused to listen, that since Meta was paying more, maybe you are giving Meta leverages. Since they've invested in the infrastructure, they'll pay, I think, around 17.50 cents per ton and all of that. Give them 50% cut and allow
Meta already has leverage. The issue is not giving Meta leverage.
Additional leverage.
No, Meta doesn't want additional leverage.
But you have proposed that.
No, HPX wants leverage.
Because they were looking at the
let me understand this thing. No. You're in this room.
Mm-hmm.
You're in the room already sleeping. I come and want to share the room with you. Who has leverage? You got a lease for the room. You're sleeping there. You got a key. I can't say I want to cut the plate oil and put bay there. So you mean you have to agree and we change the lease and turn this compartment into my own and use it. So who has leverage? You already have the leverage. So HPS wants to share the real. The real is for the government. It's not for Meta. But the agreement Meta has gave Meta the right to be able to. The agreement first of all say if Meta and the government agree, there will be no third-party user. Okay. That's the kind of law that we inherited from the government.
Using your own scenario, the man is the original owner of the room. Propose rent cut for him. That's what Austin is saying.
Was that not possible?
No. In that analogous to that situation, what we want to propose.
We're negotiating now. So.
Yeah, Meta, don't be the user operator. Let's get a third party to be the user operator. It's the proposal that we want to make to Meta. Meta, give up your user operator right. There are many independent companies in the world. We take an independent company that will come. You will stay with your money in Liberia, but you are not a real operator. Meta say no. You can't do that one. So that the negotiation we've invested, so everybody protecting their terms. So that's the common. That's the 1, 2, 3, the ABC, the fundamental of the Meta in simple English and explain to Liberian people. Somebody already has a right. They believe that they have to be accommodated, they have to be protected. We're trying to negotiate that right from them in a new amendment to find a third party.
Let us talk a bit of politics because we have to go to the lines in the next 10 minutes. CDC, where are you now? Do you stand a chance 2020? Now, first of all, what's your relationship with the former president, George? We have been hearing that it is a strained relationship. That's one. What's your relationship with people like Senator Nathaniel McGill and other higher-ups in the CDC? Besides, during the 2023 elections, that you gave monies to opposition people, for example, now Vice President Jeremiah Kuhn, to support their campaigns and all of that.
The Minister of Finance, I don't give money even to CDC before I gave money to opposition. No, the role of a Minister of Finance is now to give money for elections. Simple as that. So it's all rumors. It's all perception. It's all the things that are happening. But CDC is okay. I tell people in my last clip when I was at the party headquarters, CDC is not here for 5 years, not 10-year party. It's a party for continuity. There will be ups, there will be downs.
Do you have a chance in 2020?
We have a significant chance. Well, the 9 months that preceded us right now under this current government tell us that we have significant chance because the slice of the majority, the slice of the small minority that made a difference for them to become the majority party was fed lies. They now understand that they were fed lies. They may not be talking loudly now, but they know it. Because many of the promises I'm telling them that were made to them, it's not going to happen.
Your evaluators may not see it that way, especially when there are slices of
the
internal
Liberian
disagreements
people,
within the current set of
let's
the
talk about
party.
Liberian people
And
first.
that's why I'm interested in when Julius brought in
relationship.
relationship,
Yeah,
which is very key.
Yeah, CDC is a big tent. CDC is not a small party. There will be different viewpoints within the CDC.
What's the relationship between you and the former
The relationship
president, with the former president?
It's excellent. There's nothing wrong with the leadership.
Since
Even as
have you met
president,
him?
even as president. No, he's not here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we spoke when I came. We spoke. We speak regularly. Even when I was not president, me and the former president had arguments on many policy stances. I had my position. He had his position. We debated. We are debating environment. Not everything that he said we are advising. He takes some. He doesn't. We have a constructive. So if somebody says that our relationship is such that we're not. No, it's not that.
There are people who believe that you have this political ambition for 2029 as long as minister. It is also
You wanted to be
speculated that
president,
obviously Minister McGill wanted to be president 2029, and this may have fueled the level of tension or disagreement that will be between the both of you. And then you have maybe what you call it, strategic gladiators, porcupine warriors, elephant kingdom.
All those things. Listen, strategic. Let me tell you, there was a time where I wasn't on social media. I wasn't involved with social media. Let me tell you, from 2018, we took a lot of beating. 25 million, 16 billion lives. Social media persons were dissipating. And so I'm sitting here and saying, well, what's going on? This is what led me on this very okay show to call and say, no 16 billion is missing. All on social media, people are spreading, telling about 16 billion. When I said no 16 billion is missing, even Rufus Nuba said, you're arrest Samuel Tweh. We were beaten on social media by propaganda. It was because of that I said, listen, we need to take back the propaganda. Propaganda too much, we can't stand it. That's how we began to organize these social groups. So it's not because of presidential ambition, it's because to counter. So that's how I started to use the fake name Benedictus Samuel. I'm saying that. Benedictus Samuel Tweh. Well, Minister of Finance, Benedictus Samuel. Okay, that's how we started using those names. Now, those names are not used for abuse people. It was you. If you look at all the names that we're using to provide economic facts.
What about Prince Capo?
Benedictus.
Prince Capo and Samuel Tweh. I was beyond Prince Capo. Second time I left Prince Capo to somebody else. When I started originally with Prince Capo, I left it and went to Benedictus. So I wasn't doing Prince Capo. So what I'm telling you is the strategic gladiators, the Spartans, all these groups were existing so that we are able to counter UP propaganda, which was effective.
Collectively.
That's correct. So
there are instances where you will see a particular group, which I don't want to mention, you see a particular group of people will come forceful when Tweh is under attack. You will see them in silence when
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. The real essence, go back to Benedictus Samuel. Let people go back to see the kind of posting that we're doing. All today, even Samuel Tweh, the economic analysis that I've done under Benedictus, I can't stand outside. I will become writing my book. I will have to go back to Benedictus. There are too many things I put out there that I can't get out of my head now.
So we are not prepared for a return to the presidency.
So we are obviously because look at the situation that's happening. In fact, the performance of the Unity Party government is going to tell people, Liberians, that Liberians believe that we are some of them believe did not lead the country right. The World Bank just came out with a report that said, President, we have reduced poverty. During the election, it was said that we're increasing poverty. Right now, as we speak, the country has been on the declining poverty trend for more than 3 years. That means saying that the World Bank, y'all go argue them, will Mr. President Bouaka sustain that decline or because of the mass dismissals we are now seeing across the civil service. Let me tell you, when you put 1,000 Liberians down from the payroll, those 1,000 Liberians each have about 10%. You know how many Liberians putting down? 10,000 Liberians.
And they are blaming you for it.
When you put 2,000 Liberians down, our approach to civil service when we came, the wage bill was bloated. We could have dismissed people. We said no.
So the thing,
we're not going to exacerbate the poverty situation in the country. We rather
people
rationalize people's wage structure to keep them earning something. I met about 200 people who don't have any income right now when I came. Okay. The World Bank said poverty is supposed to be declining. You think poverty will decline with that situation? So if 2,000 people are laid down, one SKD full of Liberians are going to descend in poverty because of that decision.
Mr. Minister,
it's consequential.
They're accusing you of not properly hiring these people.
Hiring people. They have fired.
That is not true. There were people on the payroll when we met who were not properly hired. We could have decided to put 30,000 Liberians down when we came.
Okay.
People were on general allowance payroll. The general allowance payroll was around 25 to 30 million.
The point is, you should have structured
25,000, 30,000 people on general allowance.
What
are you talking about? 47,000 people on civil service. We could have decided since all of those who were hired on general allowance were not hired under the civil service, so we sacked you. Did we do that? You know what you mean if you move 37,000 people? 370,000 people you put in poverty.
So why didn't you process them through the CSA and ensure that?
We processed them through the CSA. When you just think are just small thing. Harmonization would not be 100%. Nobody does the reform 100%.
Okay.
What you're arguing for is perfection. Only God is perfect. No process on earth is ever perfect. So when you do harmonization, you have a score of 85%, 87%. The question is, when the man is talking about the 13%, it's as if you didn't do the 87. No.
Does it pain you when you hear that there are people who in the down meaning where, for example, let's use the foreign service as an example. People were posted in the down meaning. Some did not take up assignment. Some took up assignment. The government is refusing to pay them over 8 months because the process was not done. Yes, some have returned. Yes, because they said the process was not done.
There's a fundamental difference in program logic and governance here. And
but you have to wait for that.
No,
at the time meeting to start posting people.
No. We began reform from day one, and we began fixing this wage bill mess that we inherited. So we should get a credit. Go to the World Bank reports, go to the IMF report. You get praise. All the partners praise our wage reform. How come our wage reform that's praised internationally, that's getting us all the tons of money? No government has received more assistance from the World Bank than the Weir administration. It's because of the quality of the reform that we push through.
Our fact checkers are listening.
Listen, you're talking about the fact expert here. So
no, but at certain times you were fact checking if your phone to be incorrect.
No, come on, side those times.
The raw issues,
the reports are, I could be off by a kilometer. No, don't fact check me, man.
This one has to be fact
check that.
You were not telling the fact checkers what
I'm saying, wage reform. The wage reform we did was a boon to the government, to the economy, was a positive for us, and it led to a lot of good things. This is why I'm standing and saying it cannot be changed. It cannot be reversed. You have to improve upon it. You have to continue to bring people up. We brought a lot of people up. I'm naming university. We try to move judges back up. We did a lot of retrenchment. We moved salary back gradually. We're not announcing that all the time because the challenge we're announcing that is that when you announce this, other people hear. So it was muted progress, meaning we don't want everybody to know because they're
before we go to the line.
Quickly. Don't you think there is a justifiable economic reasons for the layoff we are experiencing at all of these places?
There is no justifiable.
The MCC. Let me just ask.
There's no justifiable reason to put our people in poverty. No government should put Liberians.
There are people who have been dismissed because of insulting presidents and all those kinds of things. Where do you stand on that?
No. I mean, I'm saying beyond insulting president, nobody. The government, President Bouaga, my advice to the president is that you should take the situation and treat every Liberian as a Liberian, not as a sedition, not as a unity party or a Liberty Party person. No, as a Liberian who is entitled. When President Weir came to office, that's what he told us. He said, listen, people who voted for me are Liberians. They're not seditions, they're not Unity Party people, they're not Liberty Party people. They have a right to work for Liberia. That's why we kept them and we rationalized them. It's rather you rationalize rather than you take the salary. Because I just told you, if you put 2,000 people off the payroll, that's 20,000 people going into poverty.
Are there any regrets from your end, from your surveys in government, the CDC government, and all of that. Any regrets? Anything you
I
could have
ju-
done better?
Look, we face our nemesis, our Achilles heel was propaganda. Our inability to counter propaganda for some reason. If we had to do it again, we would have a different approach to propaganda. Yeah. The fake news that people were dying. I mean, today people believe that these people died because of people killing them. I mean, are you kidding me? That's propaganda. That's the effect of propaganda. You can write a whole book on that. People still go to believe that Biden Israel were murdered. Government have no incentive to kill Biden. The revenue people at NRA, they are giving us 3% of GDP more revenue. That the government will be killing people who are contributing more to the revenue? No. If anybody killing anybody, that the people, the business people who they are harassing to pay more will be in trouble, will be angry with them. Not the government that are receiving the revenue from them. So how do you do a revenue audit? All those people, it was just unfortunate circumstances, but it was politicized. How do we deal with our politics? I mean, the conspiracy against the government in terms of misinformation, from 25 million mop up, lying, we use 25 million to 16. I mean, to the extent that even though 16 billion is a lie, you journalists are not able to hold Senator Dillon, all these people that say Senator Dillon, asking the question when he come on your show, do you still believe 16 billion is a lie or not? You haven't even with the press. Then he come and say, yes, no 16 billion missing. He will never say that. Ask Senator Dillon. He will never say 16 billion not missing.
Let us go to
because
the
he
lines.
still wants to profit from the propaganda.
Yeah,
So my regret, largely,
go
is this communication piece that we could do better. In opposition, we have to handle that effectively. Now, the team, the CDC has to marshal all of its experts who are in government. They have to be across the board consensus across, especially from former government officials who got to be vocal, who have to stand up to the current government factually. We don't want to, we don't want propaganda. We're going to use the evidence of economics and the science to bring it to the government. We're not going to lie on the government.
Okay, last from my end, there is this thing that you will leave the executive, especially when your government is not re-elected, and later on
You run for the
you
legislature.
run for the legislature.
Are you intending to run your district county?
Will you be running around Maryland telling the people you want to be senator or something else?
Or even in my Gibby, in his district.
And leave our options open.
Come again?
All my options are open.
Okay.
Let's go to the line.
And 777.
That's a minute. What if the current regime knows the strength? What if you're called upon to help? Are you willing to put?
Minister Kafonse, come rest.
So
up.
listen,
Or even Mr. President?
Come look
I
here.
will owe my listen. The Unity Party government. I was an economic consultant in the government of Unity Party. That's how I was the lead economist at MCC.
So if you're called today, you go.
No, the question is, our country needs the best. Our country has problems. I just described the problem to you.
Yeah, one of the best. So you go.
No, I'm not. I they choose not to go. I'm not the question.
Where you go?
No. Right now,
Why is it
my
difficult to answer?
My best advice, I would not want to serve in this current administration. To say I've become
Why?
somebody
Because
else.
they're persecuting you?
No, hold on.
Okay.
But the question is it possible for my ideas to go to them in some way? I can tell you I will not say no, because I know what, it hurts me if the Liberian people are voting for one thing. Let us say we should be doing this bottle, and instead the country is doing this handkerchief. And all the political discourse is around this handkerchief. We're making noise when it is the bottle that we should be making noise on. It hurts me. So something in me say, listen, the people are voting for people because of this handkerchief when they should be voting for people because of the bottle.
Okay.
So there's a misalignment. We have to patriotically correct that misalignment. And this is where, guys like Gaffer, others should temper the discourse from hate and see what is the right thing that we need to do to get Liberian private sector. And Liberian business person talked to me last night, almost cried. They lost everything from COVID-19. They are struggling where they went in a foreign country. I just thought, how many persons you hired? I had around 47 persons. Everything gone.
Okay.
That person can get.
Let's go to the
access
lines and get public inputs. Samuel Tweh is right here, former Minister of Finance and Development Planning of the Republic of Liberia, going through an hour, 40 plus minutes of a very grueling interview. Some of the toughest around. 777-700-995, 555-995-995, the numbers to call. Let's take Steve Lampe, Welcome, sir.
Yeah, Julius, how are you?
I'm
Julius, I want everybody to listen keenly. We have a country that was established based on a wrong foundation. What Minister Tweh is saying in there, I think this morning I just called you.
mm-hmm.
And you can read on Bill Fittis' curves in economics. It basically trying to speak about the twin evil that every economy faces: employment and unemployment, and the inverse relationship. The harmonization, I told you this morning, for any government now to revise it, you have to do two things. Either make yourself unpopular and there's popular uprising. You have to close leakages by cutting down the millions that we spend in the House, in the executive, and at the judiciary branch. Or by doing mass dismissal. Because every government coming continue to implore. The wage bill from Manasari time, I assume it was for the 2000. CDC added their own.
42 million. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, as you're speaking, there are being more people being employed in government. So how do you stabilize it? How do you increase the wage bill?
wage bill that I saw in the draft recast budget is around 301 million.
Yeah. So we are running a government like we are developing what I call a kind of social welfare. So if you have to harmonize now, you either dismiss or you cut down the million that legislature receiving and close down the leakages.
Okay.
It's not a quick fix solution, period.
Thanks so kindly, sir. Let's see who's right here. Welcome. Let's hear you.
Good evening, Mr. Kudiri, panelists, and even to one of our previous finance minister, the chief economist of our country. And my name is
Go to the issue. You'll leave out that person.
Yeah, I call you this evening for help us of the Mali program of democracy. Look at the issue. To me, I appreciate some of the spending collaboration on the economic transformation that you carry on in the former president. We are regime. This regime is on the direct mandate to deliver on what is happening. You argue that the harmonization was the worst thing that ever happened in President. We are regime in this country. We can the harmonization.
Okay, thanks so kindly. You challenge. Let's take journalist Danijos Matin. Danijos, welcome.
Thank you, Julius, for the singular privilege, and let me say good evening to the former minister. Welcome to Liberia. But I've got a question for you. Thank you to the panelists also. I think it's been a healthy exchange of questions and responses. Minister, this is my question. What would you have done better if you were given the chance, to serve as Minister of Finance that you did not do? And then two, I hear you talk about the consequential, if I got the word correct, the consequential improvement that the former government made with the harmonization that got your government quote-unquote demonized. Do you think now that any government after you can effectively and efficiently run with the harmonization process, considering the challenges that you face and working on all the state funds? Those are my concerns.
Okay, thanks so kindly. He's jotting them down. Let's come to this public line. Welcome. Let's hear you.
Good evening.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm Thomas. We're calling for 7 seconds. Yeah, I'm always very on the past fund and everything because on the regime, see that development. They use
what kind of development?
Thank you. On a regime, so many kilometers were paved. On a regime, we see different government entities were built. So you see tell that you are minister for the poor people. Because through that infrastructure, through that road, we're going to benefit. We're going to easy access to the former finance minister a few questions. One, how do you see as a former government official for the state right, you are being session by the present government because of corruption, quote unquote, bad practices and other illegal issues. Also, how do you see also right? Because of power shifting government, your children, your probably are being affected because the America is saying that you get to pay to you because of your deeds, you spend government, you didn't perform well. How do you see the former government official? Thank you.
Okay, thanks so kindly. Welcome. Let's hear you quickly.
Jesus, how you doing?
I'm fine.
Quiet here.
Yes, go ahead, Eric.
I just want to say welcome to Liberia, our former minister.
Thank you.
You have spoken well. The issue about the sanction of your family, we wait that the U.S. government can give you people due process. As it is, we yet to know the reason why that was done. But let me just talk on the issue of harmonization. If this government feel that yes, indeed, harmonization was so terrible yesterday, we challenge it today to undo harmonization. You have come to rescue the virus, rescue the massive corruption. Trust is impeding and killing our children right now. In fact, families today are unable to send their children to school. Massive unemployment. We listen to so Unity Party people already.
Okay, thanks. So kindly, we have to ration. Let's go to LERC. I really look forward to hosting them. There's a few things we need to understand. But we have Clark Tume.
I'm calling now as a citizen of Liberia.
Why you want?
I'm calling as a citizen of Liberia who has interest in
Go ahead, Mr. Commissioner Clark Edward Tume.
So, Julius, I think the most intelligent way to compare two governments is under circumstances whereby they are similarly situated. You cannot compare the an 8-month or 9-month-old government, the performance of a 9-year-old government to that of a 6-year government. It is unfair.
Was he not comparing their first 9 months to
so
that of
the
the
way I'm going now, in the first 9 months of the CDC's government, unlike this government, the government was riddled with scandals. It was either Eto or Iboma or some kind of scandals or transactions that were happening.
But you have the yellow machine. You have the comment minister get.
The situation is not a scandal. Julius, the government has said to you recently that the process is being legitimized.
The government
did not sign any agreement with any business person. There is no record whatsoever to show the government has signed any agreement before the machines came into the country. So what the government is going through now is to go through the proper procurement or contract process. So there was nothing illegitimate.
Thanks. So let's take the United Parties. I think youth lead chair, but also one of the deputies at the NTA, Melvin Sivas. Welcome.
Yeah, good afternoon, Julius, and let me say good afternoon to the Liberian people. You know, in Liberia, we have a very gullible society. If we were in a very serious country, we wouldn't have former Minister Samuel Tweh sitting on the radio and bragging about the failure in government. Julius, look at the entity that we inherited at the NTA. See the state in which we inherited that entity. It is a living testimony.
Was he the head? Was he the head of that entity?
He was the finance minister. And bulk of the appropriation and some of the financial malpractices that went on at various institutions, the Ministry of Finance were responsible. You are aware that all of the controllers in the Republic of Liberia at various ministry and entities, they are being controlled and supervised by the Ministry of Finance through the Auditor General. And you hear that particular entity and you take blame for that. For the minister to be in office in studio today and be say, I think he should be ashamed of himself. And he should apologize to the Liberian people for the manner and form in which they mismanage the resources of this country.
Thanks so kindly, Melvin. Let's come to the public line here. Welcome. Let's hear you. Hello. Okay, we lost out on you. Welcome.
Good evening, Julius.
Yes, go ahead quickly.
Thank you, Julius, for having me. I'm Emmanuel M. Super Junior, CRC of the Interletter Club District number 15. Let me say a good evening to Honorable Tweh. I have a concern. First, I have to appreciate the Honorable Minister, what he did for Liberia. It's indeed a great thing. The harmonization of the strategic one to make sure that the economy was set on path and we can experience that back unless that the United Party government is taking us back for. But however, I have this question to ask the Minister. The harmonization policy.
Okay, thanks so kindly. He will answer that. Let's go international. Frank Gibson from Paris, welcome.
Good afternoon, Julius, and good afternoon to Honorable Tweh. Honorable Tweh, I'm sorry for the incident. You know, those Americans, whenever they ask you to do something, you refuse. The only thing, the only quick thing.
Did he say the American asked him to do something and he refused? Like, you might just, you just don't like Americans. I don't know what these people did to you.
I'm saying when the American ask you to do something, if you refuse to do it, the first thing they will do to sanction you. Now, the accusation against Honorable Tweh is a blatant lie. Those Americans have no evidence that Honorable Tweh was engaged in corruption. They have to be verified. They have to be investigated. But those people, they see that they are the best around the world.
Okay.
So they do everything for their own power. Sanctioning a 6-year-old girl, revoking a passport that was justice to that little girl.
Thanks so kindly, Frank. We'll hold you there. Let's come to the public line. Just 2 quick ones. We have to go back to wrap up. Welcome.
Yeah, Julius, thank you. This is Happy Mayor. I'm calling from Kokotan. I want to say thanks to the minister in studio, but I'll just have the one question. Because for me, I will speak directly for my people in River East County. The contractor that was building the city hall in first time, they said Honorable Samuel Tweh did not give the contractor the money. How true is it to get a better opportunity to ask former minister? What happened to our city hall?
Thanks so kindly. Let me squeeze in this final one. Former Assistant Minister Abu Bakar Ba, quickly.
Thank you very much, Julius. Yeah, let me say good afternoon to Mr. It's very unfortunate when you have guys from the current government calling to say that Mr. Tweh should be ashamed of himself. And this is a man who honored his watch as finance minister at the University of Liberia and other public universities all around the country. Tuition was declared free. And it's still, I'm sure, it's something that the government currently is looking at to remove because it is the success of the CDC government. Under his administration, we saw 4 housing units built free of charge for Liberians, poor people. Under his administration, we saw road.
Okay, thanks so kindly. We'll hold you there. We'll go back to him for the next 4 minutes to respond to the concerns that have come in. Then
let me say thanks to all of the callers. Quickly, the supporters and the critics, I appreciate your critical perspective. This is a democracy. You have a right. But there are some very important questions that you all asked. Let me begin with the one on the state-owned enterprises and harmonization. We harmonized the state-owned enterprises. Unfortunately, the state-owned enterprises are not on the central payroll of the government. Most of the salaries at these entities, before we harmonized, they were in the range of $14,000, $13,000, $15,000 a month.
Just
salary, not any benefit. Salary was around that neighborhood. We brought it to around 6,000, 7,000, some of it. It stayed for some time, but because they're not on the central government, it's difficult to enforce. And what they ended up doing was the move from core salary to then benefits through the approval of boards that we don't have control over as a central government. So imagine somebody was taking 15,000, we brought it to 6,000 and say, okay, we take the 6,000. Generator, like Patrick Honda generator, we give you $4,000, we added there. All the other stuff, like the gas slip, they carry it back to 15,000. This government has the obligation to continue harmonization of state-owned enterprises because, listen, in 6 years, we were solving a smorgasbord of problems. The whole world was crashing. Inflation, COVID-19, wage harmonization, the work the president did. I'm telling you, people are going to appreciate President Weah's work now under President Boakai than they appreciated it under President Weah. So that was a good question you asked. Generally, I'll just give some remarks to all of the questions. Steve Fampley, the first caller, said you have to, and he's right, you have to plug leakages in revenue. You have to ensure that salary stays within a certain level. But I don't think the way to go about it is to take Liberians on the payroll. What you do is that whoever is on the payroll, rationalize the pay system, keep them on the payroll because of poverty purposes. If you bring Liberians down, you're going to worsen the poverty curve, which is already declining. But we're going to see next year in the World Bank report whether that decline continue because that's the evidence that it was declining on President Weah. Is it going to increase on President Boakai? So, but your advice was well taken. What could you have done better? Okay, on the harmonization. Listen, as I said, We face a lot of propaganda. Many of the challenges, many of the negativity associated with our government have to do with perception. Perception that wasn't really there. And so people were not even in a position to listen to the gains that we were making, to appreciate. They may in hindsight appreciate it now. What we'll do better, obviously, we will work holistically as a government as a whole to tackle problems. We will communicate our successes better, okay, and face the challenges holistically as a government better. So we want to improve upon that. Yes, in our first 9 months, we are better off. Who was that? One of the Unity Party callers said, Clyde Tume. If you're comparing our 9 months to your 9 months, if the election were held today, we're winning you on that one. Because 9 months, in 150 days, we did tuition-free policy. We did WAS-free. We sent 18 medical doctors. Dr. Robert Porter walked to my office almost crying and said, Minister, you are the first government doing what I always desire, send these children for training. Just upon you come, tell the president thank you, I want to see the president. Ask Dr. Porter. He came to the Minister of Finance telling me thank you to convey the thanks to the president. We sent doctors away. All right? We laid the groundwork for a Medicare 14 hospital. We did all this work. Okay? Digitization of the university today, you take for granted that university students can go online. When we came, people were in the president's office every day. University students were protesting every day about registration. President said, but what does it take to digitize registration? We're in the 21st century. This is 2018. Are you kidding me? You guys standing online to see Mr. President Mass. He called the minister, the university authority. Council Norris Tweh came, brought the university people. President said, listen, I will do a procurement process. And in 3 months, digitization was there. That's what you call deliverable. All right, that's what you call 9-month deliverable. Okay, so we did better.
That's how we will let it go. It's already 6 o'clock. That's up. Is the news. Winston Bradley of Banner FM. Thanks so kindly for being here. Prime FM also relayed this show. Thanks so kindly to them. Austin Cowan Freedom. Thanks for being here. Oliver Kine, thanks for being here, and former Minister Tweh, thanks for accepting our invite to join.
Thank you for a tough interview.
Yes, hope in the near future we can have you.
We can have both time.
Ongoing things. My name is Julius. Yeah, that's how we go. Tomorrow is another day. The news is up next.